Hi, Bookish friends. I'm wearing my little cute Bookish hoodie. Midnight's on my lap, and this is our February wrap up. I have so many amazing things I want to share with you that I read this month, shows I've been watching, podcasts that I've been enjoying, booktubers that I love. And I really like film analysis as well on YouTube. There are so many people right now who have such a great sense of humor or who dive into certain elements of film that I think are so interesting. So this is kind of a wrap up of multiple things, but my number one things I want to touch on this episode is just the books I've been reading, my top three books of the month, TV shows, podcasts. I have a tea I've been enjoying and a little discount for y'all, and some listener recommendations because I've been reaching out to you guys on Instagram about what books you've enjoyed this month and if you'd recommend them. So it's a little bit of everything. I want this to be a very chill, cozy episode. Everything I mentioned will be in the show notes below. So you can check everything out from the tea that I liked, the romance books, nonfiction, everyone on YouTube who I recommend, podcasts, all that. So that'll be down there below. Okay, like this if you can on YouTube and subscribe before we start. Follow on Spotify and leave a nice little rating, please. All of it helps. And let's dive right into it. So, on this episode, I want to share that my favorite tea I've been drinking while I read is called A Dream Within a Dream. It is a mint and chamomile tea from Chapters Tea and Co. It is so good. It's not too sweet. It's got a beautiful natural blend and it's not super caffeinated, so it doesn't leave me feeling jittery throughout the day. Use my code STORIES15 at checkout with the link below, and you can get 15% off. So check that out. And let's dive into some of my favorite books that I read this month in the romance genre. Some books I don't physically own because I either read them on my Kindle or I read them on Libby as an audiobook. If you have a library card, y'all get Libby because you can read your books on Audible for free with Libby with their little app. And if you're a big fan of Everand or Audible, but you don't want to necessarily pay, I would highly recommend getting Libby because it's free and you can listen to your books on your phone from the gym, lunch break, and just running around doing your thing. So I highly recommend those. But I also have some books on Kindle Unlimited that I read this month. So I will have those notated below in the show notes so you can check them out as well. Okay, first one that I want to mention is a graphic novel and it's called Rainbow Volume 1 by Sunny and Gloomy. This book is absolutely gorgeous. For folks who are watching on YouTube, the inside has purples and pinks, and it's got lots of beautiful pastel coloring. It does reference like alcoholism. I do want to give a trigger warning for that, but the main character kind of goes into this fantasy world sometimes while navigating through real life situations, and she's met a really beautiful girl at her school, and they are kind of navigating new feelings for each other while the main character is also trying to navigate her day job, her complicated relationship with her mom, and so much more. It is a beautiful first edition of this graphic novel, and I cannot wait to read volume two. I actually found it on sale at my local Barnes and Noble. So this was a really, really interesting read, and I can't wait to read volume two. So this is a good little graphic novel. And also, I think I read this in like a day. So it was very, very quick. So that is one LGBTQIA plus graphic novel I loved. Another one that I own, it's somewhere on my bookshelf. Oh, it's right here, is I Shall Never Fall in Love. This is by Harry Connor. This one is a perfect retelling if folks who loved Emma by Jane Austen, who also love queer rap and trans and non-binary rap. This was a Friends to Lovers as well. Beautiful. There's also lots of references to history and how queer people kind of navigated through that, how folks of color navigated through that. Class. It was a really beautiful graphic novel. I absolutely adore it. You follow three friends and you kind of navigate how they're going through life as they're growing up, certain elements of society they have to experience during that time. There's a little bit of jealousy, there's self love, there's self discovery. It is absolutely amazing. And I think this is perfect for anyone who loved Princess and the Grilled Cheese. This hits the spot. If you read that and loved it, this hits the spot. So I Shall Never Fall in Love is so good. And in the era of Bridgerton, this is giving us the queer rep that we are yearning for. So this is absolutely a beautiful graphic novel. And once again, I read this one in a day. Super amazing. I'm sorry if you see my cat. He is always right here. So super, super good. I love this so much. All right. A next one that I wanted to mention is a book that I read on my Kindle. I got it on Kindle Unlimited. It was so, so good. And that is Beautiful Torment by A. Zavarelli. This was on Kindle Unlimited. It was a dark romance with autistic representation. It has chronic pain, dual POV, an unhinged male main character, and a bit of miscommunication. It followed our main character who is really into like clothing design and things like that. And she has this guy from her past that she grew up with, and she always kind of had a crush on him. But then something happens and is an accident, and he ends up with scars, and he's also in a lot of pain, and she has feels a lot of guilt for that. And in her family, she's in a mafia family, and she's in college for now, but she's in like an arranged marriage, and she does not want to be with the person who she's arranged to be with. And that guy from her childhood is always in the back of her mind. um and she has been messaging a guy online, um and she's kind of been falling for this guy online, so it's a little bit of a secret identity as well. It is so good. I think I saw someone's review on Instagram, and I was just pulled in by a quote from the novel, and I'm so glad I read it because it was freaking amazing. And that's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil it too much. Let me know if you do want me to go into a deep dive though, because that was a very good mafia romance. And you think you know where the story is going, but you don't. It also kind of gives me vibes of Lights Out a little bit because he wears a mask at one point and he's got a voice changer. So for folks who like that, yes, Beautiful Torment by A. Zavarelli. Super, super good. I read it in like a day. I can't wait to read the rest of the series. And I think each book is a different couple. And I always love that element. So it's great. All right, next is another book on my Kindle. This one I think you have to find on a third platform from the author. I'm gonna link her Instagram's like book below because I think she references on her Instagram where you can find this book. I don't think you can just find it on Kindle Unlimited. I think it was more of an indie release. And that was Oasis by Deanna Gray. This is a sapphic novella set in a small town during summertime between a single mom and a retired rock star who lives next door. It was sweet. It was cute. It was a novella, so it was very short. I don't want to dive too much into it. All I'm going to say is that it was just the perfect read for like summertime or springtime. It was that same feeling of like wearing denim shorts and like if you see someone cute when you're out and about and you're like, I was not expecting that. And the vibes are immaculate. Yeah, the flirt. Oh, Dina writes flirting so well, especially from like a black queer romance. She always makes you feel so charming, and the spice is always hitting. But the romance like evens out the spice. It's not too much spice, it's not too much ooey gooey romance. It's a great combination. So I highly recommend you check out Oasis by Dina Gray. Also, I have an interview with Dina coming out, I think, in March. So keep an eye out for that. We go through all of their books and their inspiration and just Black queer romance and so much more. All right, next, I got this book off. It is also on Kindle Unlimited, but I read it on Libby. So I'll hold up my Kindle so y'all always know if I have my Kindle in my hands, it's because it's probably on Kindle Unlimited. And that is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lauren Gilmore. I read this one and it was good. I just think that I wasn't in the right mindset for it, but I thought it was very sweet. It was very cute. It was a small town romance, single dad. It had a foodie element because he's a chef, and it was a cozy read. I get why people compare her a lot to like the vibes of Gilmore Girls. She has this thing for like the grumpy MMC, and this like bubbly main character, and I'm okay with that. I will say though, it is on Kindle Unlimited. I think it's great if you're looking for a quick, sweet read. That'll kind of just like hit the spot between maybe a more intense romance and maybe like a nonfiction or like a story that has kind of weighing on your spirit. It's a good like palate cleanser. So yeah, it was good. It was good. Next, these are both on Kindle Unlimited, and they are some really good poetry collections. The first one is called The Thing About Falling by Tarona Tank Ball. You may have recognized her from her book Vulnerable AF. She's also the lead singer of Tank and the Bangas. I think she's got a beautiful voice, and she reads all her audiobooks. So I highly recommend you read it in that form. But I read this on Kindle Unlimited and I also bought the audiobook. The thing about Falling has some of the most beautiful poems I've ever read. She does spoken word poetry beautifully. And I really, really appreciated how she talks about multiple levels of love and breakups and falling in love again and finding yourself and just those universal like feelings. It's just all consuming and her writing is so gorgeous. The next book I want to recommend that is a poetry collection is called The Moon Will Shine for Us Too by Janae Cecilia, also on Kindle Unlimited. This one I think I read in around 2 days. It was one of those books that felt just tender. It felt tender. It makes you reflect about yourself. And it also felt like really hopeful in a time where the world kind of feels like it's on fire. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It was absolutely amazing. The next book I want to recommend, I don't own a physical copy, but I did see a YouTuber who I really love called Haley Hughes. They have some really great thriller book recommendations. But this is a book they reference about like their self-care journey and like kind of finding themselves again. And this book is called Women Living Deliciously by Florence Given. Thank you so much, Haley, for this recommendation because this book was absolutely wonderful. And I've loved Haley's YouTube for years. All of their thrillers and just how they talk about their life and how they recommend books and their vlogs are so refreshing. So when I heard about this book from the recommendation, I had to read it. So I got it on Libby. And Women Living Deliciously by Florence Given talks a lot about how women are treated in society, how we navigate through self love, and kind of reclaiming our power, reclaiming who we are, and the importance of holding space for yourself and not really asking for permission to do that. I thought it was beautifully written. I think I listened to this audiobook in like a week. I just wanted to kind of suck in all the information and really let it sit and like marinate. And it was absolutely amazing. I'm planning on going more in depth with this book next month because I have some quotes I want to talk about and just things that I loved about this book. But I will say it was amazing. Even though this falls in the category of nonfiction, it was the number one nonfiction I wanted to highlight for this month because I absolutely loved it and it hit me like right in the feels. Okay, so my top three books of this month. I did not want to add them to my overall list because they're very special to me. The first one is a thriller and a family drama. It's called We Don't Talk About Carol by Kristen L. Berry. I'm going to be doing a spoiler talk about this book in March. It recently came out and it's a debut. So I wanted to give folks time to read it before I spoil it. But it's so freaking good. I just want to know if you guys want to hear it. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do the non-spoiler talk because I have my notes. I can do a non-spoiler talk in the beginning and I can do a spoiler talk. Just let me know if you want to know what happens to Carol. We Don't Talk About Carol by Christine L. Berry follows a woman who finds a photo of a girl in her grandma's like drawer in a guest bedroom. And the girl looks very similar to her. And when she asks her grandma about it, her grandma's like, we in a black household, we don't talk about Carol. Why don't we talk about Carol? She puts the grandma puts the picture away, does not talk about it for years and years and years. The grandma passes away, and the girl is now a woman. She's married. She's navigating, trying to build a family and infertility and IVF and all of that. And she ends up while packing up the house, finding the picture again. And her dad had passed away, so there's not many people to ask about Carol. So her sister kind of go on this journey of trying to figure out who Carol was in their family. She knows that she's a relative, but like no one ever talked about her. The town is very hush hush. There's a lot of mystery about it. So you're wondering like what's going on. And it's very thriller-y because there are people who do not want to talk about Carol, like who are still here to this day. So it's very interesting. And there's also a group of girls who went missing around the same time that Carol went missing. And you're sitting here like, well, what happened to those girls? So it is so interesting. And you also get dual timelines because you get the present with the main character and you get the past from diary entries from Carol about what her life is like during that time. So, so good. I highly recommend that as an audiobook. It was a great thriller. Next is an audiobook called The Carpool Detectives, a true story of four moms, two bodies, and one mysterious cold case by Chuck Hogan. This book is true crime. It's nonfiction. It felt like a documentary. It felt like in my head as I was listening to the audiobook, I read it on Everand. it felt like I could see everything in my mind so clearly. It follows four moms during the height of COVID investigating a cold case about a car that was found in like a ravine, and two people who were married who are now deceased. And like everyone thought like, oh, it's just a car accident. But they're like, something's fishy. The family had like a business, it got closed down like a month later. It just was off, like something was off. And you're getting this book from the perspective of these, four women who are very real people, and how they navigated their own struggles during the time of COVID while also investigating this cold case and raising their very young children, and the dangers of investigating this cold case and how they did it. It was absolutely amazing. It was a great true story. It had a lot of heart, and they kept the victims' families in mind. And I appreciated their tenderness for that. And also how they navigated working with the police and trying to get information as like armchair detectives. I'm going to be doing an episode about this book as well. I won't be diving into spoilers, but I will discuss what I appreciated about this book, because I just really liked how in detail they went. And I might do like a mini episode. I loved it so much. I just want to give you a wink that like I'm mentioning it now because it's one of my favorite books of the month, but I will be doing a deeper discussion. The last book on my list of like my top books of the month is I Accidentally Summoned a Demon Boyfriend by Jessica Cage. This is book one in a series. It is a Black romance with a sprinkle of fantasy, humor, and spice. You can also read it on Kindle Unlimited. What? This book was absolutely amazing. I am so in love with the story of this woman who is going on really crappy dates, and she has this romance book that she's been loving, and she ends up doing the spell in the romance book, and this is set in the real world, and she's like, oh, there's a spell in the book about like summoning a demon boyfriend. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. She's been drinking and stuff. Tell me how she ends up summoning her soulmate, and he's a demon, and she's drunk, and she's like, we're gonna do the do, and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, this is a dream. I can do what I want. And he's like, it's not a dream. I'm real. She wakes up the next day and they had a great time. And she's like, oh my God, you are real. And he's like, I said that. And the story goes from there. And um, the the magic system and the comedy and the banter and just the discussion of opening up and vulnerability and falling in love with someone who has a past and who is a complex character all themselves. His point of view as well, you do get it later in the story, is incredibly refreshing. He's very to the point, and I liked that. His sense of like, I would burn the world down for you. Their love is earned. They are not instant soulmates, even though they know they belong together. They're magic like called to each other. They don't they don't fall in love deeply until later. And I liked that. I like that. Okay. So I can't wait to read the rest of the series. I know that the author has a new book coming out, I believe this year, that has Sapphic representation and it's also Black characters, and I'm here for it. So I'm absolutely excited for that book to come out, but I loved it so much. Also, honorable mention, I don't know if this book is still being sold, but I pre ordered mine. And a book I've been reading recently is The 10th Muse Rebellion. This is a beautiful book. I've been searching for volume one, and I'm hoping to interview someone from the team about this story. It is huge, but it is a sapphic anthology with characters of color, and it has a lot of different LGBTQIA plus authors featured in this story. And every single short story is just magical and beautiful, and I'm loving it so much. So I'm hoping to do a little non-spoiler episode about this book as well. It's going to take me a minute to get through it because she's chunky, but the cover is just two Black people with their arms wrapped around each other, two women just holding each other and being happy and covered in this beautiful hue. And I cannot wait to read it. Oh my gosh. So I cannot wait. I'm excited to share that episode with you. I've been waiting for this book to come out for a hot minute, and I'm still on the hunt for volume one. Okay, on to the next, some booktubers I've been loving. One booktuber that I love is Kayla's Bookish Vibes. I really like her blogs. I like her book hauls, her Black literature recommendations, plus her style is absolutely amazing. Her shelves are gorgeous. I highly recommend checking out her YouTube. She also recommends some really amazing Black literature. highly recommend. Next is Tina's Book and TBR, etc., aka TBR, etc., is their podcast name. I listen to them on Spotify. I love their thriller recommendations. I also really, really like how organized they are in their system of how they read and how they identify a good book. I just think it's so cool. And I appreciate their vlogs as well because you get to see their reactions and kind of how they come to terms with how they feel about the book at the end. I also just have to say that, like, I have found so many great thrillers because of Tina. So I just absolutely adore their YouTube. And I will link that below as well. The next bookish book, YouTuber I want to mention is Pages and Polish. Their name is Shannon. Um, Shannon has brought me so much comfort in her YouTube videos. Okay, when I am not feeling well or if I'm having a stressful day, I put Pages and Polish on, and I just feel so happy. I really love as well their like book talk episodes. They do these deep dives into stories that I may have been nervous to read before. They also really love discussing horror and the representation of grief in horror. And that has opened my mind to that genre and that element in horror and storytelling. And I'm just excited to get out of my comfort zone and read more horror and read more stories with complex characters. And I'm grateful for Shannon for doing that. So, absolutely amazing. Next, what have I been watching? I want to touch on some YouTubers I've been loving who are into like movie recaps because that is a thing that I have always really loved. So yeah, let me dive into two that I'm a huge fan of. One is Mally Peace. So they are absolutely amazing. I love their series called Films That Piss Me Off. She dives into these movies in depth and she shows like visuals. So there's a lot of characters. You can kind of tell who is who. Also, her hair is always popping. She looks absolutely gorgeous all the time. Girl, drop the details. I also want to say thank you to Mally Peace. They shouted me out on one of their YouTube episodes and it blew my mind. I've been such a big fan of them forever. The fact that they even watch my YouTube is crazy and I'm so grateful because I've been watching theirs for years. But I will say that her Sinners recap and why the movie pissed her off made me giggle. I also really appreciated how she kind of analyzed the film. I've seen it like 9 times, and every single time I see a film analysis about Sinners, I feel like I get a new perspective. So I loved what she had to say. Girl, hat off to you. I will watch whatever you put on YouTube. You're amazing. I also love her sense of humor. Next is Zane's Joint. I loved his analysis of The Craft, his deep dive into Final Boys and horror, his analysis of Sinners. I love his Scream episode. And I just really like as well how he goes in depth and his beautiful silky voice about films and queer representation in films and horror and the complexity of it all and his sense of humor. His editing is on point, his eyes are stunning, and his commentary is divine. I love Zane's Joint so much. His YouTube videos are brilliant, and I highly recommend them. He also has a great sense of humor. And the TV show I've been loving recently is on Netflix, and it's called Glitter and Gold. It was a like 3-part documentary. I know with the Olympics going on right now, a lot of people have been really getting into like ice skating and things like that. And of course, the heating rivalry and with hockey and everything, and just winter. But I will say that like Glitter and Gold follows I think it was like 3 or 4 like ice skaters as they're leading up to the Olympics. And you're seeing how they're training their bodies, their injuries, their personal reasons for why they're trying to get into the Olympics, some trials and tribulations that they're experiencing. So, like, one person had a partner who committed a crime that impacted their ability to pursue their career, but they didn't do anything. There was also another couple who like fell in love through ice skating, but like he has a really bad back injury, but he like literally trained for so long to support his wife in this sport, and it's his passion and it's his career. So he has to like push through the injury. It's very intense. I could not stop watching. And it just kind of made me think of the book The Favorites by Lane Fargo, which is a book on my TBR, which also links to figure skating and ice skating and the complexities of that. I think it's also a Wuthering Heights retelling. The tea is hot. But I think that actually has a character with color. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, the tea is hot. But this documentary series, Glitter and Gold, was really fast paced and I actually really enjoyed it. So that's my February wrap up. I hope y'all enjoyed it. All things bookish films, just people I've been loving. Follow everyone that I mentioned, please. They're amazing. And I hope you liked this episode. Keep reading and have an absolutely wonderful day. Bye, y'all.